last week we said that businesses are now exposed to difficulties as far as the business environment is concerned. And we talked about yung VUCA, di ba? Yung volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity of the business environment. Okay, you may wish to look at several examples. No? You can research on several examples. For example, itong MTD training specialists, they have this, it's a short write-up about the VUCA environment. Let me put this in the chat box para may copy kayo ng ano. Okay, so you may wish to look at that. So if you look at this, no, how much do you know about the situation, and how can you predict the future? How can you predict outcome of your action? So from negative to positive. So ito, sinasabi natin dito guys, businesses are exposed to difficulties, especially with a business environment that's very volatile, very uncertain, very complex, and very ambiguous. Okay, so for example, in this article, ang sinasabi niya, what's volatility? Quality of being subject to frequent, rapid, and significant change. Pabago-bago environment. Increase the size of this. Significant change. In a volatile market, for example, the economy can rise or fall considerably in a short period of time, and the direction of a trend may reverse suddenly. Okay, so this is this is something that managers are afraid of, no? Yung volatility ng market. They have been investing, for example, on a particular course of action, tapos biglang magbabago yung market. No? It will take a 180-degree turn. So ano na lang yung sa planning nila? Paano na lang yung mga strategies na ini-implement nila? So that's why it's important for companies to be adaptive, no? Be adaptive to changes in the market. But that's easier said than done, guys. Ang hirap kaya gawin yan, and it will take really a great amount of effort on the part of management to be agile, no? Ang tawag natin dyan, agility of the companies. Its ability to act fast in the midst of quick changing or turbulent, no? Market forces. Very turbulent ang ang bilis ng pagbabago. Okay? So sinasabi nila ang antidote to volatility is vision. But both short-term and medium-term and even long-term. Pero mahirap yan, guys, no? But it's something that only really very, very good companies are able to attain. Many of the companies really fall by the wayside. Now overtaken sila ng changes in technology, changes in the market. They're exposed to several risks. No? The companies are exposed to several risks, and only those companies that are agile are able to really reverse the trend or act quickly. And we have uncertainty. Sabi natin, hindi predictable yung mga events. No? Businesses hate uncertainty, and when it's a driving force behind the decisions you have to make, you need to find other ways to create certainty for your business. So, itong mga recommend, no? Flexibility, commitment and consensus, develop new perspectives, create risk management ideologies. In other words, understanding of the market better. Okay, complexity. Ano yung complexity? Sabi natin complex, multiplicity of issues and factors. Ang dami ng mga factors which drive the business environment. Dati, unifactor lang or bifactor, and the company can easily address the changes in the environment. Pero ngayon, ang dami na, napaka-complex na, sabay-sabay na nagbabago from different angles, from different sides. Okay, so it will be really very difficult for the company to address this. The problems escalate when there's a complex environment business the company is working in. Causality is very important. Understand the causality. Simplify processes and procedures. Kasi pag simple lang yung processes and procedures, mas madali mag-adjust kaysa napaka-complicated ng processes and procedures. Okay, recognizing that nothing is permanent. That even success, guys, success is not permanent. Companies have to realize that they cannot rest on their own laurels. A very good example of that is Nokia, di ba? Asa na si Nokia ngayon? Okay, in the early 2000, sila yung byword ng market, sila yung number one. No one would dare compete with Nokia. But where is Nokia now? Just one or two decades, 1 decade after. Wala na, di ba? Swallowed in the VUCA market. It was not able to reinvent itself. It was not able to re-engineer itself. It was not able to address the changes in technology. It stuck to its Symbian technology, to its Jurassic technology. It refused to change. It refused to adapt to the market. And they were penalized, punished by the consumers. Okay? Kasi ang mga consumers, demanding yan, di ba? Kung ayaw magano, if you want to be Jurassic in your processes, and then there are some firms that provide a much better process, an operating system, di ba? They could not expect to have loyal customers. Loyal customers will only be loyal if their needs are also met. Eh kung hindi na, guys, there's not such thing as loyal customers anymore. Kahit na may loyalty yung customer sa company, sa isang company, guys, kailangan din marunong mag-adapt yung company na yun to changing technologies, changing times, changing markets. It cannot just refuse to say, no, we will stick to this technology kasi ang customers namin very loyal sa amin. Unless, guys, that there is really a market for those type of customers. Okay? Pero pag, dun sa telecommunications, sa cellphone, wala eh. I don't know if they were I don't think they were blindsided. They were just, I think Nokia was just hard-headed. Pasok si Apple. Diba? Pasok si Samsung. Ayun. So, how are the mighty fallen? Wala. Bagsak na. Wala na. And it tried to come back, but wala. It was a useless exercise. It was an exercise in futility. Okay, and also we have ambiguity.
Sir?
Yes.
Are you trying to share screen po?
Ay, wala ba?
Kanina pa po.
Ay, sorry, naku.
Okay lang po.
Naku, pasensya na, guys. Sa attendance din, wala pa? Kanina?
Opo, wala rin po.
Naku, my apologies. Okay. Ito na yan, guys. Sorry, Apologies for that. Nag-chat pala kayo sa akin, ano? Okay. Sorry, guys. Sorry. Well, ito yung shinare ko dun sa chat, guys. Ito yung site na tinitinan ko, no? Okay. And I gave examples yung sa Nokia. May another example pa, guys. Are you familiar with Blockbuster? Maybe hindi pa kayo pinanganak nun eh. Familiar ba kayo? Who among you have heard of Blockbuster or have seen it? Si Blockbuster, guys, ang business model nila, nagpaparent sila ng mga LCDs, renting movies, no? In the form of LCD, VHS, ewan ko kung inabot yung VHS, wala pa siguro kayo sa mundo. Lalo Betamax, guys. Betamax, I'm sure your fathers and your parents were able to experience this. Betamax, LCD, VCD, DVD, no? I had huge collection before of LCDs. Yung malaking laser disc, no? LDs, laser disc pala, hindi LCD. And then yung mga, tas napalitan nyo ng ano, VCD, no? Video CD. Kasi ang lalaki ng mga LD, laser disc, tas napalitan ng ano, ng mga VCD. Okay? And then the evolution went on. So ang ginagawa niya, ang business model ni Blockbuster, nagpaparent siya ng mga ano, ng mga LCD. So you have to be subscribed, you have to be a member. So how will you subscribe? Kailangan pupunta ka doon, no? You have to go there and borrow I think my limit yun 5 yata, 5 VCDs. You borrow it for 1 week and then return it in exchange for ano. Okay? So dati nun, guys, yung video in demand, nyo guys, if you compare si Netflix at saka si Blockbuster sa US setting to, no? Di hamak na mas malaki si Blockbuster 2007, no? Tapos there came a time na mas nakita ng mga ng market na mas convenient talaga yung video on demand. Tapos nag-increase yung titles ni Netflix. Okay? Yan, hanggang tingnan niyo ngayon guys, 2010, 2011 yata to. So, asa na si Blockbuster? Wala na. Wala na. Kasi bakit ka pa pupunta dun sa sa Blockbuster store para manghiram ng VCD o ng LD? Okay? Samantalang andyan naman si Netflix, you can subscribe. 'Di ba? Sa comfort of your own home. Okay? But of course, Netflix is also now facing challenges, no? Kasi may mga content providers like Disney. I think pinull out na nila yung content sila sa Netflix. Sino pa ba? Warner Brothers, I think, no? May mga content providers na nag-pull out ng kanilang kasi they saw that they will also benefit ang business model nila. Sila mismo magaan ng channel nila. Okay? So hindi ko lang alam kung ano na yung Disney channel. I'm sure may mga sa cable yan, pero I don't know how the business model operates. Okay? So Netflix, pwedeng success story siya ngayon, Blockbuster success story before, gone today, gone din si Netflix, unless Netflix is able to reinvent itself. That's why you notice sa Netflix, gumagawa na rin siya ng sarili niyang content. No? If you notice sa Netflix, may mga movies na sila mismo nagpo-produce. Because I think pag yung ibang mga production suites, pag tinanggal yung nila sa Netflix, then that would be the day, guys. Kasi saan pa siya kukuha ng content kasi mawawala yung customers ni Netflix, guys. Kung wala nang mapro-provide si Netflix ng magagandang movies, okay, or classical movies, kasi nag-pull out na yung mga production companies before, paano lang siya? How will it be sustainable? This is an example, guys, of a VUCA environment. So Netflix has to be able to really focus on these changes and reinvent itself. Kaya na-notice ko, a product produced by Netflix, nag-ano na siya, preparing for an eventuality, no? That the other companies would pull out their products from Netflix. No? Abangan ang susunod na kabanata. No? Okay, so kikita lang natin to, guys. No? Other examples of this. Okay, I'll leave you guys to peruse over this. There are other examples. This is just one example. Tapos sinabi natin, guys, yung VUCA 2, di ba? Ano yung VUCA 2? In order to address volatility, the company should be very clear in its vision. Ano yung complexity? Ano yung antidote daw to complexity is? Ano yung sa uncertainty? Ano yung sa ambiguity? Ano, guys? Ano yung answer to uncertainty? Anyone? Yung VUCA 2 natin, yeah, understanding. Thank you, Jillian. Yeah, thank you, Elijah. Yes, that's true, no? Tapos ano yung ano daw sa complexity? Ito na yung VUCA 2.0. In order to address volatility, okay, vision daw. In order to address uncertainty, dapat daw understanding. In order to address complexity, dapat ano? Okay, courage. Thank you. Elijah, thank you. Gab. Tapos ambiguity naman, guys. Okay. Okay, thank you, Jillian. Adaptability. Courage, adaptability. Of course, guys, parang masyado siyang buzzwords, ano? These things have to be fleshed out. Hindi pa pwede yung ano lang, yung parang context, parang konsepto lang ng vision, understanding, courage, and adaptability. Hindi pa pwedeng ganun. Kailangan na-thresh out yan, kailangan na-flesh out yan, and it should be cascaded to the rank and file to everyone in the company, and this should be converted into objectives na dapat ginagawa. So hindi pa pwedeng ganun lang. Okay, so let's go back, guys, to our discussion last time. Sabi natin, sa isang organization, saan ba pumapasok ang finance? This could be the old hierarchy in an organization, COO, tapos under COO, we have marketing, operations, HR, tapos under CFO naman, pwedeng under sa kanya, si accounting, treasury, credit, etc. This is just an example. Okay, sa mga hierarchical organizations ngayon, you will notice that hindi lang dadalawa yung chief officers. No? Sineseparate na nila sa CMO, Chief Marketing Officer, nakaseparate na rin si Chief Intelligence Officer or Chief Information Officer, Chief Knowledge Officer, Chief Talent Officer, Chief People Officer. Okay? So iba-iba na, no? Because of the variety and because of the complexity of the business processes. So nagkakaroon ng chief sa bawat isang function. Okay. So we now go, guys, to ano ba yung financial markets, financial institutions, and financial instruments. Our target is to be able to finish how many slides do we have? I think 36 slides. Okay, we'll be able to finish this today. And then just to announce to you that next meeting, guys, meron tayong bagong topic na tayo, financial statements. Okay? Financial statements analysis, ratio analysis. So we'll have, again, guys, another activity. It can be group activity or it can be individual, and the results of that activity will be added to your bonus points. So my bonus points are in next meeting. Huh? It can be, again, another Kahoot game, or it can be a Google test. Group kayo. I'll have to decide, no? But pero meron. And again, the bonus points will be carried on to your bonus points. Okay, so let's first take a look at markets. Okay, sorry for the writing here. Okay, so ano ba yung market? We know that a basic definition of a market is where buyers and sellers meet. No? So doon sila nagko-congregate. So ang financial markets, it's also a place, whether it's a physical place or virtual, online, where buyers and sellers meet to trade financial assets. Okay, the assets can be in the form of equities, bonds, okay, it can be currencies, it can be derivatives. So pag equities, nasa stock market yan. Pag bonds, nasa bonds market. Pag currencies, FX market. Pag derivatives, nasa derivatives market, which can be a futures market or an options market or a swaps market. So iba-ibang types ng derivatives. Okay? So ang advantage ng market, guys, is that the market has a mechanism to make pricing very transparent. Kunyari, sa PSE, very transparent yung pricing ng stocks. If you want to buy, so for example, if you want to buy Ayala Land, Ali, sa stock market, you're confident that the pricing there is transparent. Okay, because the market, which is the PSE, allows that. Regulated kasi yung market na yan, there are regulations on trading. Kaya hindi lang basta-basta kahit sino ang pwede mag-trade sa stock market. Kailangan licensed broker ka. licensed stockbroker. And you have stock brokerage firms, and they employ stockbrokers who do the trading for them. Okay? Malalaki din yung mga brokerage firms, guys. Okay, it might be interesting for you to look at the top 10, kunya top 20 stock brokerage firms in the Philippines. Malaki din yung mga kinikita niyan. No? So there's a mechanism whereby you can trade in the stock market through stock brokerages. And then there are, of course, costs and fees. Okay, pero because of economies of scale, costs and fees can be diminished. Okay, pero standardized din. So hindi sila basta-basta pwedeng magtaas masyado ng kasi because of stiff competition, lilipat sa iba yung yung mga investors. Kung masyado mahal mag-charge yung brokerage na. And of course, we know that because this is a market, market forces will always determine the price of the securities. So ang nagdedetermine ng price yan, hindi yung PSE. Ang nagdedetermine yan, yung bilang ng mga tao na gustong bumili ng stock na yun o magbenta ng stock na yun. Kung maraming gustong magbenta ng stock na yan, because siguro nabalitaan nila na pabagsak yung stock na yan, so benta na natin itong stock natin. So what happens na? Pag binenta nila yung stock nila, maraming gustong bumenta, konti lang gustong bumili, okay, so bababa yung stock price na yan. So sellers will be willing to take a much lower price. Kunyari, ang gusto niya ibenta ang price at 30 pesos. Pero since walang buyers So willing siya na, sige, at 25 kukunin ko yan. May gustong bumili at 25. Okay, so it's a buyer's market kung tawagin. No? Buyers are willing to buy that stock at a lower price. No? Okay, so ganun yung ginagawa ng markets, guys. So may transparent pricing, may regulations, okay? And markets are very important to the nation's economy. Parang nervous system yan, no? Okay, where the reaction of investors in the market provides a very, very vital information. Okay, and that's important for would-be investors kasi makikita nila na, okay, itong mga information na to, alam nila kung how they'll go about with their investments. Kung i-invest ba sila sa company na to o hindi sila mag-i-invest. And as I mentioned a while ago, ito yung nagde-determine ng stock prices, no? yung law of supply and demand. Okay, offers liquidity, guys. Offers liquidity. Bakit ba nag-o-offer na liquidity? Why does it offer liquidity? Kasi may mga traders, may mga stockholders na gusto nila i-unload yung pera nila, yung stock nila, in exchange of course for cash. So nagkakaroon sila ng cash, no? Kasi may gustong bumili. So yun ang liquidity na sinasabi natin. Kasi there's an exchange of stocks, shares of stocks for cash. So we know that liquidity has something to do with cash movement, no? Okay, and of course, sinabi natin yung communication of information. Sa PSE, for example, sa Philippine Stock Exchange, it's very important that companies disclose very material or relevant information about their company. Okay, bawal ang tinatawag nating insider trading. Ang insider trading, nangyayari yan kung if some privileged group are able to get information which allows them to trade because of that information. So insider trading yun. So bawal yun. If companies are caught with that, doing that, then they can be disqualified from the stock market. Pinagbabawal yan at saka the PSE is really very strict about that. Yung insider trading. Kasi kailangan guys, yung ito, babalik tayo dito sa efficient market hypothesis. The assumption is that the market is very efficient in as far as market information is concerned. Kasi pag na-break yun, pag nawala yung trust and confidence ng mga investors, magko-collapse yung market na yan, guys. Okay? And also risk is traded, no? Risk is shared. Mamaya discuss pa natin yan. Kasi kunyari, ito nagbigay ako ng example sa kabilang class. May isang company na kailangan nila ng bonds. Okay? It will be, mag-i-issue siya ng bonds, kailangan niya kasi ng 10 billion, for example. So how is it going to do that? Pupunta siya ngayon sa indirect market, sa intermediaries, no? Pupunta siya sa intermediaries. Tapos, it will engage intermediaries, financial institutions, para sila yung mag-issue ng bonds para sa company. Okay, and then it is these intermediaries with their know-how, with their technical know-how, who will then go to the market. So in this sense, nababawasan yung risk ng bondholder, ng company na nangangailangan ng pera, na pupunta pa sa market kasi hindi niya alam yung market eh. Mas kabisado ng mga intermediaries yung market. Kasi nagre-research yung mga yan. Yan yung ano nila, expertise nila. They have the expertise. They have the knowledge of the market. Okay, because that's what they do. Okay? So, yung risk na hindi makaka-raise ng funds yung company is shared with the intermediary. So, nababawasan yung risk ng mga investors, ng mga bondholders in this particular example. Okay, so several types of markets, no? Money market, capital market, that's in terms of the maturity. Meron tayong securities market, that's in terms of the document that's being issued. Okay, primary market guys, kung new issue yung shares of stock. Secondary market, kung old issue na siya. Okay, we'll take a look at that later. Okay, so briefly guys, sinabi lang natin na ang financial markets, it's a place where the borrowers, the savers, and directly meet. Tapos pag indirectly naman, ando dun si financial intermediaries. Okay. So, ano pa ba yung relevance ng market, guys? Ano ba yung function ng financial markets? So, it's a channel. It's a channel where funds flow. So, sabi natin, because of this market, yung excess savers, yung net savers, maaano nila, mai-share nila yung savings sila dun sa mga net borrowers. And it improves economic efficiency. Kasi kung walang market, guys, ano mangyayari? Okay. Kung walang market, before I answer that, sabi natin, pwedeng direct finance or indirect finance. Pag direct finance, guys, diretso na yung net saver, pinapahiram kay net borrower. Pwedeng through a broker, no? Pwedeng through a broker. But it's still direct, no? It's still direct market, direct finance. Okay, so indirect finance man, kailangan papasok talaga through an intermediary. Okay? Kasi si intermediary, siya yung may knowledge about the market. Okay, for example, kasi yung mga companies, hindi naman nila expertise yung pag-i-issue ng bonds kasi may steps yun. So they can tap the services of a financial intermediary, financial institution in order to help that company issue bonds o maka-raise ng capital. Okay? So that's a very important role of market pa rin. Market pa rin yun, albeit indirectly. Okay, so in the PowerPoint that I shared to you, there are examples of this, yung flow of funds dun sa financial system. Pare-pareho lang naman yan. It's just taking a look at it from different angles or different perspectives. Laging andyan dyan si net saver, andyan din si net spender or borrower, and then either from direct finance or indirect finance yung fund flow. Okay? So, pare-pareho lang yan. Ang important siya yung flow ng funds, no? Money market, capital markets, direct finance yan. Tapos itong through financial intermediaries, to credit institutions, financial institutions, and others. Okay, this is another way to look at it. You have the equity, corporate, money market, and you can have here intermediation via investors. Ito guys yung, pwede itong direct market, ito yung via intermediation. So this is a combination. So direct market, si investor, may cash, gusto niyang kumuha ng shares of stock, pwede siyang through a broker guys, so a broker buy the stock. Okay, si firm, okay, or si other investors who have who are selling their shares of stock, okay, ibebenta nila makakatanggap sila ng cash in return for the ownership shares. Or pwede siyang corporate market, bonds market, kay bonds ang in-exchange dito, or money market, pwedeng let's say treasury bills or commercial papers. Okay, ito yung direct market guys, ito naman yung via intermediation. Either institutional investors or via banks and other lending institutions. Okay, so that's how our financial system works. And in order for this to be very successful, kailangan very efficient to. And kailangan yung efficient market hypothesis should work. Okay, kasi pag nag-breakdown yun, kunyari may nagkaroon ng breakdown sa let's say implementation ng regulation kunyari sa stock market about transparency, about disclosures, then that might send a strong signal that this market is no longer you cannot no longer trust this market, and it might cause the collapse of the market. Okay, so pareho lang to guys, direct, indirect inflow of funds. Okay, so this is where they meet yung markets, no? Pwedeng through direct finance or pwedeng through financial intermediaries. Okay, then another guys, just more explanation about the role of financial markets. Sabi natin, financial markets are very important. No? Kung meron kang excess 1 million, kung walang markets guys, ilalagay mo lang sa ano yan, sa below your pillow or sa angkal siya, piggy bank. Kasi wala namang markets eh. Wala kang mapaglagyan ng unless you're going to start your own business. No? Okay, so with markets, guys, you'll be able to find a place where you can put your money, and then you'll be compensated with interest, no? For putting your money there. And there will be those who needs the funds, then the market will make sure that that happens. No? In the presence of a market, another party could use that money to buy what they need to increase their productivity. So ito yung mga companies, for example, kailangan nila ng panibagong equipment, wala silang sufficient cash, so maglo-loan sila. Saan sila mag-loan? Sa markets. No? Saan nanggagaling yung pondo doon? Okay, either may mga taong nagpasok din ng pera nila doon, okay, and then these people who are net savers would be compensated via interest. Okay. So importante guys, yung financial markets because they make possible the efficient allocation of capital. Okay, allowing funds to move from people who have them to people who need them. Okay, they also improve well-being of consumers. In what sense? Ito yung consumer credit. No? Kunyari, may sakit sa family nyo, kailangan nyo ng gamot. Tapos, wala kang cash. You can use the consumer credit market. Ibig sabihin, you can use credit card. So, pwede ka maka-purchase ng on credit, and then when the time comes na kailangan mo ng bayaran yung then that's the time na pwede mo siyang bayaran. By that time, hopefully, meron ka ng enough funds in order to pay that. Okay? So, yun ang important. Ito yung sinasabi nito na na well-being of consumers. Okay, so these are just examples of other markets. By the way, guys, let me backtrack a bit, no? Kasi may nakalimutan ako dito na i-share sa inyo. For example, no? If you take a look at PSE, Philippine Stock Exchange. Okay, isa na yun. Okay, I think it's up, sorry. Where is my PHE? Nawala yung PSE ko. Wala. Okay, let me just fill up PSE. No? Okay, example lang to, no, guys. So PSE Edge, here you have, company disclosures, announcements nila. Okay, so change in shareholders shareholdings of directors and principal officers. So yung mga important na ano na to guys, company announcement, financial reports, other reports required ang company na i-disclose yan. Okay, so we have here several information, disclosure notices, listing notices, okay, wealth of information, so that any would-be investor will be equipped to come up with a sound investment decision, whether they will na company list, saan ba sila saan ba sila i-invest, no? Itong to go, no? To go, listing date nung May 15 siya nagpa-list, 1995. Nasa services sector siya, subsector niya, transportation services. Okay, and then you can find here several information also about to go. Okay, I just tingnan natin ha. By ticker symbol na to go. Okay. Ito na pala, no? Yung saan na yan? You can find other information about to go. Company list, and then okay, company disclosures, company announcement, etc. Dividends, then pinapakita dito guys. Okay, kung magkano dividends yung in-issue ng company. Okay? So kompleto dito yung information. Okay, so with that guys, you can make sound decisions about whether to invest in the company or not. And that's possible because of the Philippine Stock Exchange. Okay, so let me also share, let's say, other markets. Diba may other markets? Like last time I mentioned to you something about the futures market. Futures market is where you can buy and sell commodities like grains, agricultural products, metals, minerals, let's say pwedeng oil, etc. No? And okay, let's see. And you have in the U.S. you have what we call the CBOT, no? Or CME Group. Okay, CME Group or Chicago Board of Trades. So you can see here, no, what are the products that are being marketed? No? Corn, soybean, crude oil, natural gas, and even indices. No? FX also treasury notes, gold, copper. If you take a look at all the products, okay, and so these are all the products that are traded there. Okay, so example lang yan guys, no, ng market. Ito, another example, futures. These are futures. Ano yung futures guys? A place where buyers and sellers meet in order to buy assets in the future. For example, ito, cocoa, no? Cocoa, you can buy for September 21, December 21, March 22, May 22, July 22, okay, even up to May 2023, way into the future, no? Sabi natin may advantage to, may disadvantage din. Ang advantage nito, pag tumaas yung price ng commodity na yan, and then you are engaged in a futures, kunyari, by December 21, example na to, 24, 23, I think this is in terms of ano to. May yung quantity kung ano hindi lang natin sigurado kung anong quantity to. 24, 23. If price of cocoa during 2021 at that time was 25,000, edi nag-gain tayo, no? We were able to hedge the company against the volatility of the price. No? Kasi sa spot market, remember, iba yung spot market sa futures market. Ang spot market, you buy the asset at that specific time. Ang futures market, you buy it at a future time. Okay, so you notice guys, medyo hindi pare-pareho yung ano, no, hindi siya nag-i-increase. May mga nag-i-increase 23 to 35, 54, 50 dito bumaba, tumaas, bumaba, at tumaas ng konti, tumaas, no? Okay, so it's hindi siya yung parang linear na trend na pataas ng pataas. Kasi dito March 22, May 22, tumaas, no? So bumaba, July. So pinag-aaralan to, no? This is studied. Kasi siguro tataas yung demand ng cocoa at maybe ang expected na tataas yung demand ng cocoa from March 22 to May 22. Kaya naging 24.35 to May to 24.54, etc. So this is an example of a futures market. Okay, so going back here, clear so far, guys? Kindly chat please kung okay so far, guys, yung discussion natin. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay. So, yung ibang details, guys, sorry, hindi natin maano, but at least you have at least a basic knowledge of what that is. If you want to really more about specific markets, the internet, guys, you just Google it, ang daming information. Okay. So, sabi natin, guys, example lang ng different ways to classify markets. You can classify markets according to the type of the instrument. So, meron siyang short-term or long-term. So, yung debt, may short-term, long-term din yan. Either short-term, money market yan, long-term, capital market. Pag equity, guys, so it's still part of the capital market. No? They also call yung equity markets as capital market. It's still part of capital markets. Okay, paano naman yung securities? Pag bagong benta, guys, new issue ng shares, IPO, initial public offering, ang tawag dyan, sa primary market binibenta yan. Okay? And then yung secondary market naman, guys, ito na yung previously traded na stocks. No? Okay. Then, pag ano naman, geographical, okay, pag kunyari sa Philippines, meron tayong PSE. No? Ang tawag natin dyan, Philippine Stock Exchange. Okay, pag OTC naman, this is more sa internet, no? Virtual, like Nasdaq. OTC yan. Okay, so hindi siya localized, no? Hindi siya localized geographically. So what's the meaning of Nasdaq, guys? Paki-chat nga kung ano ibig sabihin ng Nasdaq. And can you think of a stock that's listed in the Nasdaq? And give me an example also. May Philippine company ba na listed either sa Nasdaq or sa New York Stock Exchange? Okay, so those are some questions. Unahin muna natin Nasdaq. Anong ibig sabihin ng Nasdaq? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Liam. Thank you, Gab. No? So, ang Nasdaq, ang ibig sabihin yan, yung sinabi ni Liam at saka ni Gab, no? National Association of Securities Dealers, Automated Quotations. Okay? Kaya nga parang online siya. Wala siyang physical or geographical presence. Unlike NYSE na may talagang trading floor. PSE also has a trading floor. Of course, it doesn't mean na you cannot trade online. Pwede pa rin. Pero the presence of a physical location makes it a localized exchange. Makes it an exchange. Okay? Is there a Philippine company that's listed in either New York Stock Exchange or Nasdaq? Sige nga, guys. I-discover nga natin. Sinong Philippine company ang listed either NYSE or Nasdaq? Can you name Philippine company, guys? Yung NYSE, hindi ibig sabihin yan na yung mga New York companies lang ang pwede naka-list dyan. Mga global companies can be listed in NYSE. In fact, malalaking companies ang naka-list dyan. No? Hindi ka lang basta-basta pwedeng maliit na company na pwedeng ma-list dyan. Jollibee saan? Listed ba ang Jollibee sa NYSE or sa Nasdaq? Did you check, Abel? May nakita ka ba? Okay, so Elijah, kindly Oo, hindi. Thank you, Abel. Thank you, Abel. Jollibee is not listed. Elijah, share your answer mo. Yan, okay. Pati si Liam, okay? So Liam and Elijah answered this. Si PLDT, guys, listed sa NYSE, New York Stock Exchange. Okay, wala lang tayo ngayon, pero guys, kung tingnan nyo yung requirements for companies to be listed in the NYSE, medyo mahirap din, no? Malaki yung capitalization ang kailangan para malist ka lang dyan sa NYSE. So the requirements are quite big. So hindi basta-basta, hindi cheap ang magpalist sa NYSE. So the mere fact that PLDT is listed there tells a lot about that company. Okay, wala pang ibang companies, guys, na listed sa NYSE, si PLDT lang. Okay? All right. So let's take a look at ito pa mga ibang examples ng markets, no? So sinabi natin kanina, primary market, first time na issue yung company na to, yung shares of stock na to, then dun siya ibibenta sa primary market. Secondary market naman, guys, dun sa nabenta na to before, and then so kung gusto mo ibenta, then you have to go to the secondary market and not to the primary market. Money market, capital market, bond, stock, we have discussed that. Mortgage market, okay. Consumer credit, ito yung sinasabi ko kanina, guys. Auction market, negotiation, will not discuss the others. OTC, yung pareho dun sa exchange. Spot market, futures, okay. These are very important markets. And of course, you have the options market, where in the futures market, what you transact is to buy the commodity. So bibili ka ng gold, bibili ka ng silver, bibili ka ng oil, bibili ka ng grain, bibili ka ng lumber, bibili ka ng hogs, whatever is listed in the futures market. You transact to buy that item for blank units at a blank period of time. Yun ang binibili, no? And this is a derivative, no? Example to ng derivative kasi you try to hedge your company from possible increase in price. Okay yun siya, guys, kung alam natin na ang trend talaga pataas yung price. Okay, so that will shield the company, that will prevent the company from rising prices. Pero pag accidentally, guys, bumagsak yung market, then lugi tayo, no? Lugi yung company. Kaya nga merong options naman, no? Options market naman, guys, ang binibili mo, you transact not the commodity itself, but rather the right to buy or the right to sell. Kasi options can go two ways. Pwedeng right to buy or right to sell. Okay? So, yung call market yan, at saka put market. Okay, so, kunyari, you engage in an options market, okay, right to buy oil, kunyari, at $50, okay, pagdating on December 31, no? December 31, 2021, pagdating ng December 31, if oil prices is at 52, then i-exercise natin yung option. Bibilihin natin yung oil. Kasi sa spot market, 52 na eh. Okay? Nakakuha ka ng at 50. Okay? So, it will benefit the company. Makakasave. No? However, guys, okay, ano nangyari, guys? Anong nga palang Siyempre, may babayaran ka rin option premium. Kasi whether you exercise the option or not, babayaran mo pa rin premium na to. Pero yung option premium is far, far less than the value of the asset itself. Paano kung naging 48 yung price ng oil, kunyari? Okay, kung hindi ka nag-derivatives, kung hindi ka nag-derivatives, guys, lugi ka dito. Okay? Pag hindi ka nag-derivatives naman, tapos bumagsak yung oil, okay lang. Pero who knows? Who knows it will go down to 48 or increase to 52? Hindi natin alam eh. Okay, kaya yung hedging. Tapos pag nag 48 yung price, ang mangyayari, hindi natin bibilhin. Hindi natin i-exercise yung option to buy. Okay? So ano lugi natin? Hindi tayo magkakalugi dun sa 50 minus 48. Okay? Hindi tayo malulugi dun kasi hindi naman natin bibilhin yung oil. Okay? But what if you need oil? Then dun tayo bibili sa spot market na, where the oil is being bought at the current price. No? Spot market tayo. Okay? So dito ang nalugi lang natin yung options premium. Okay, which is far less compared to losing out 50 minus 48 times the number of barrels, etc. Okay, so yun ang importance ng markets. It's used for hedging to protect the companies from volatility in terms of prices. Okay, ito sinabi natin kanina, money markets, ang maturity nito less than 1 year. Okay, it provides liquidity kasi may mga companies na kailangan nila immediately ng cash, pero gusto nila short term lang yung utang nila. Okay, so dun sila sa money markets pupunta. No? Lending, borrowing for a short term, usually from several days to just 1 year. So ganun ka short term lang to. Okay, capital markets naman, more than 1 year. Okay, yung more than 1 year na yan, greater than 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. Okay, so it's distinct from the money markets, which refer to markets for financial instruments not exceeding 1 year. So alam natin yan, no? Ito maturity more than 1 year. Okay, in fact guys, may mga companies na nag-issue dati ng century bonds. Ano yung century bonds? More than 100 years. Example of that is Disney and Coca-Cola. Pakita ko lang sa Disney. Ha? Ito. Okay. Take a look at this. Share ko na rin din sa inyo to if you want to read on this. Hindi ko makopya. Control C. Okay. Yan, no? LA Times. Disney company goes a distance. Okay, 300 million. Umutang sila ng worth 300 million. 100-year bonds. Okay? We'll talk about long term. Okay? Imagine. Tapos ang interest yata, 7% yata ito. Okay, and then there are reasons why people pay 7.55% in annual interest, with the principal to be repaid in year 2093. Okay, very interesting. Although may provision din yan guys na pwedeng ang tawag dito, callable bond. Okay, sulat ko lang yun ha. Callable. I think callable bond siya. Ano ibig sabihin ng callable bond? Kasi di ba 1993 in-issue ni Disney. I think ang yung security niya, it calls for Walt Disney having the right to call the bond after 30 years. After 30 years, so that's 23, no? Tama? 30. Okay, 2023. Ano ibig sabihin nun? Pwedeng i-retire ni Disney yung bond na to. Okay? Ano ibig sabihin? Pwede niyang i-buy back yung bond. Pwede niyang bayaran na yung principal. And because of that, guys, so maraming intricacies ang bond, ano? Lalo yung mga long-term na ganito. Pag callable bond, guys, may premium dapat yan sa mga investor. Kaya anong ibig sabihin nun? Kasi kukunin mo na yung bond sa akin Nag-invest nga ako for 1 year. If Walt Disney deems it fit already, kunyari bumaba na yung mga market rates, no? Kunyari ngayon ang bonds ngayon are at 3%. Okay, you get the idea, guys? Humiram si Disney at 7.55% noong 1993. Ngayon, fast forward 2021. Sabihin natin ang current rates ngayon 5% na lang. Okay. So, lugi di ba si Walt Disney. ang pwede niyang gawin, since callable yung bond na to, ibig sabihin niya, he can get back some portion of this bond. Okay? Some portion of this bond, i-retire niya, bayaran na niya yung yung principal, bayaran na niya yung portion na yun. Tapos, mag-issue naman siya ng panibagong bond na lang at less than 7.55%. Kuha nyo guys, you see the intricacies, ano? So it allows Disney to be able to come up with funds for its projects. Okay? At that time, siyempre 7.55, siguro yun ang prevailing market rates noon. And then nag-century bond siya that's payable in 2093. But there's a provision in the security, in the bond, that after 30 years, Disney can call back siguro ilang percentage of the bond. I'm not sure about the provisions, pero pwedeng ganun. But I think it was a callable bond, no? Kasi it was also to protect Disney kung sakaling if the market rates were at 10%, then okay si Disney, no? Kasi nagbabayad pa rin siya ng utang at 7.55%, when in fact the market rates is already 10%. If the market rates were 10%, hindi i-call ni Walt Disney yung bond na yan. Hindi niya i-call. Hindi niya i-exercise yung callable bond na yan. Kasi ang bond pwedeng callable, pwede rin putable, guys, no? So maraming hindi lang basta-basta bond eh. I'm just giving you examples, no? Pwede rin putable bonds. Put. Okay, ano naman yung putable bond? Baliktad naman to. Yung investor, may option to return the bonds. Parang collect na kagad yung principal after certain number of years. Okay, that's a putable bond. Bakit gagawin ng investor yan? Okay, nag-invest sa Walt Disney. Okay, kunyari putable bond to, ano? Kunyari by 2023, the investor has the option to collect, no? To return the bond to Walt Disney. Ano yung motivation ng investors to return the bond to Walt Disney? If at that time, market rates were at 10%, di maganda, okay, by 2023 daw, after 30 years, putable yung bond, pwede natin ibalik kay Disney. Whatever percentage is there in the Okay, so yung mga investors, pwede na ibalik. I'm sure hindi 100% yan, no? Hindi papayag si Walt Disney na lahat, no? Putable or lahat. Hindi naman nila gagawin na lahat callable. Okay, certain percentage lang yan. Okay, so ito, example lang yan guys ng capital markets. Ito yung debt market, yung long term, which is a capital market. Okay, clear so far guys? Clear so far? Paki-chat nga please kung okay so far yung discussion natin. Okay, itong sa chapter 1 lang talaga guys, yung medyo ako lang yung nagmo-monologue, no? Okay, but in the next module guys, hands-on na tayo habang nakikinig kayo sa akin, may ginagawa kayo. Ito introductory module 1 lang talaga, medyo ako yung nagda-download, but the rest of the modules, more on. Thank you for the feedback. Thank you. Okay, so let's continue guys. Okay, ano naman securities? Securities guys in general, ito yung document, no? So whether it's a stock or a bond, that certifies that ako stockholder ako or ako bondholder ako, no? Na may utang si company A sa akin in the form of a bond, in the form of a debt, na I'm a part owner of San Miguel Corporation. So in general, it's called a securities market. Okay? Sabi nito, securities are typically divided into debt and equity. Okay? And it can be primary or secondary. Primary kapag newly issued, secondary kapag bought and sold at the second time or more. Ito sinabi natin guys, primary market and the secondary market. New issues sold to initial buyers. Okay, usually this is done by an investment bank, guys, which is an intermediary. Mamaya i-discuss natin to, who underwrites the offering. Kunyari, isang company, okay, hindi siya listed sa Philippine Stock Exchange. Okay, so gusto niya magpa-list. Okay, so paano niya gagawin yun? Kung wala siyang expertise nun, he might need the services of a financial intermediary, financial institution, who has this expertise, who does the processes for them. Ang tawag doon, underwriting. Si underwrites yung pagsusulat ng contract. Okay, so that's the primary market for newly issued stocks. Tapos meron naman yung sa secondary market, yung buying and selling na, yung mga nabenta na dati. So sa PSE yan, sa Philippine Stock Exchange. Okay, ano yung FTSE, ano yung DAX? Can you chat, guys? Ano yung FTSE? FTSE 100, at saka yung DAX. I'll give you a few seconds. Okay, I have an answer here. Okay, Elijah, thank you. Deutscher Aktien Index. Okay, so this is German. No? Okay, so ito yung index ng German Burs, no? German Stock Exchange. Okay, how about FTSE? Okay, thank you, Elijah. Financial Times Stock Exchange. Anong country yan, Elijah? Okay, correct. UK. Okay, Elijah, remind me please, you have +2 points sa Kahoot natin ng first, no? Or kahit saan naman yun kasi accumulate naman natin lahat, no? Whether I put it on the first one, second or third activity, it doesn't matter. Basta cumulative siya, no? Okay, thank you, Elijah, for participating. Thank you for answering. You're correct, no? Ito sa UK yan, no? Yung FTSE, yung DAX sa German. Okay, in fact, meron din of course si French naman, no? Meron silang, for example, meron silang CAC 40. Okay, that's a French word for 40. CAC 40. Okay, CAC 40 French yan. So this is the French bourse. Okay, I mentioned the word bourse, which means their stock exchange. No? Stock exchange nila yan, no? Where the stocks are traded. No? So, si German may DAX sila. Si UK may, in the same manner as the Philippine Stock Exchange, meron tayo dito. So, si Singapore meron siyang SET. No? Singapore Exchange, ST yata. Singapore times STI ba? STI. Singapore times Index, STI, I think. No? Okay, so each country, well, countries that have their stock exchange have their indices also. Yung index, guys, it consists of representatives of all stocks traded in the market, in the stock market, as a benchmark. Parang, representative to ng stocks na listed dun sa market niyan. And it comes from several sectors. Okay, so si DAX, I'm not sure, 30 yata to, 30 companies. FTSE, I think, is 100. I forgot, no? Nakalimutan ako na kung ilang companies. PSE 30. Ngayon yata 28 eh. 28 lang. Okay? So, ito yung mga stock exchanges. Sa US, meron din siyang NYSE. No? Tapos yung kanina nga, yung Nasdaq. Nasdaq is an example of an OTC. Over the counter. And dito yun, no? Kanina, ito. Did I show that to you already? Ay, hindi pa. Hindi pa ba? Sorry. Ito. Yeah, here. OTC. An example of that is Nasdaq. Okay. So, Sabi natin, ito, gusto kong intindihin natin to. So secondary market, it's a place where, for example, PLDT shares or smart shares are traded, no? Buy and sell. Okay, to-go shares are traded. Del Monte listed na, no? Ano pala, mag-IPO si Del Monte. Jollibee shares are listed, etc. Metrobank, these stocks are listed in the stock exchange. Okay, ang question ganito. Do these companies, does Jollibee tend to benefit in the trading of these stocks? Answer is no. Bakit? Kunyari ako, investor ako sa Jollibee. Shareholder ako. Tapos gusto kong, dun sa shares ko, gusto kong magbenta ng, kunyari, if I have, let's say, 10,000 shares of Jollibee, and I want to sell 50% of it, I'm going to sell 5,000 shares. So, ibebenta ko yan sa stock market. No? So, through the broker, diba? Sa licensed broker, only licensed brokers can engage in business in the Philippine Stock Exchange. Okay, through the stockbroker. Tapos, so, itatransact niya ng stockbroker for me. Tapos, may bibili. No? May bibili. So, yung exchange ng funds yan, exchange ng cash, hindi nag-benefit si Jollibee yan. Kasi nasa secondary market na yan. It's only in the primary market will Jollibee benefit from the exchange. No? Kasi sa primary market, mag-ano siya ng initial public offering, di ba? First time niya i-issue stocks or new shares of stocks. No? So the cash will go to the company. And if they hire the services of an investment bank, syempre, babayaran nila yung investment bank for the services. Okay, so do companies, guys, benefit from the secondary market? Yes. Yung number 2, tingnan nyo. Number 1 benefit provides liquidity. Kung ako, kailangan ko ibenta si Jollibee, kailangan ko ng cash. Okay? So I go to the secondary market. Madali kong madali kong mabenta. No? I can easily sell it kasi may market. Kung wala market, guys, paano ko ibebenta? Shareholder ako ni Jollibee. Magtatawag ako sa mga kaibigan ko. Gusto mong bilhin yung 5,000 shares ko ni Jollibee? Ganun, magkano? Ganito. Ang hirap nun, guys. No? Ang hirap nun. So, the market presents liquidity. Because there's a stock market, pwede ko na i-download yung shares ko. Since may mga interested buyers naman on the other end. No? Okay? So, that's what the market does. It provides liquidity. Ngayon, yung benefit ngayon, ang benefit ng liquidity, guys, sa mga investors, it does not benefit Jollibee directly. Ang indirect benefit sa kanya yan, yung price. Because of the trading, guys, na-establish yung market price. So, kunyari, 50 pesos. Importante kay Jollibee yan. How much is the price trading at Jollibee? Okay. Later on, guys, kasi kung meron, kunyari, magkaroon ng negotiation na ibebenta ni Jollibee yung shares niya. Okay? Mapepeg niya. Ano ba yung market value ng shares ko? No? And also, it's important kasi pag-compute ng sinasabi natin, di ba, shareholder value, finance can compute for what we call the economic value added. Okay, we'll discuss that next meeting, no? Yung EVA at saka MVA. Makukuha lang yun sa stock price sa market. Kung walang market, hindi makukompute yung EVA, which is a very, very important measure, which you'll see next meeting. By the way, guys, yung exercise natin next meeting, yung activity natin, it will cover financial statements analysis, so medyo magbasa-basa kayo about that, and then it will cover ratios, no? Yung iba't ibang klaseng ratios, liquidity, debt ratio, we have efficiency ratios, okay, profitability ratios. Marami naman sa internet, guys, ang ano. At saka, I'll see if I can already send yung PowerPoint, no? But if I'm not able to, then on your own, guys, kaya nga yung activity na to, it serves as a bonus for those, especially for those who take the initiative to do the first step, to do advanced reading. Okay, so you're being compensated for doing advanced reading. Okay, so it's very important, guys, for Jollibee. It will establish a price for the security. It's useful for company valuation. Okay, we have a few more slides. Okay, ito namang instruments, guys, yung mga securities na nabanggitan natin to. ito yung document, no? Ito yung legal document. Okay, legal obligation of one party to transfer something of value, usually money, or in the form of certificate of ownership that can be traded to another. Okay, ito yung document na nagpapakita na shareholder ako ni San Miguel. Of course, ngayon, guys, since stockbroker ang umaano nito, nasa stockbroker natin yung yung certificate of ownership. Okay? Usually naman, hindi tayo nagsi-safekeeping yan. Usually, mas maganda ang si broker na yung humahawak niyan. Bakit? Kasi pag gusto nating mag-buy and sell, since nasa ng broker, nasa possession, madali niyang gagawin yung transfer niyan. Okay? So, financial instruments, sabi natin, can be stocks, bonds, or all forms of loans, guys. These are what we call securities. Okay. Okay, so, ano bang role ng instruments? Price discovery, ibig sabihin, doon nakalagay yung price. Liquidity, also binanggitan natin kanina, and reduced transaction costs. These are more, guys, benefits from the use of financial markets. Okay, yung instruments, yung securities, yung document, kung saan ito tinitrade sa markets. Okay, so these are more benefits from trading the securities in the market. Okay. Ito naman, guys, intermediaries. So medyo ilang slides to. We will take a look at the benefits of using intermediaries. Sabi natin, di ba, ang finance pwedeng direct finance or indirect finance. So meron tayong, sa indirect finance, meron tayong intermediaries. These are corporations that provide services to the financial markets. Okay? So meron tayong maturity intermediation, risk reduction via diversification, and cost reduction. Okay? So I'll explain this in greater detail as we move on. So example nito, insurance companies, investment houses, investment banks, regulated investment companies, depository institutions. So several examples of financial intermediaries. Ang pinaka-common dito, guys, yung insurance companies at saka yung investment banks. These are the most common ones. Okay? So ano ba yung ginagawa nila? Parang middleman sila. No? Ang mga intermediaries, they act as middlemen. Kaya ang tawag sa kanya, indirect finance. So ang ginagawa ni intermediary, kukuha siya ng funds from savers, tapos ipapaloan yan kay borrowers. Okay? Through the markets din. So bago pupunta sa market, nagte-trade din siya sa market, pero si saver, si investor, pupunta muna kay intermediary bago siya, si intermediary ang pupunta si market. Kasi mas alam ni intermediary yung market. Okay? May mga rules and regulations kasi, kunyari sa bond market. Okay? Unless na yung company, meron silang department na who can handle that, kasi medyo specialized yung yun. Tapos kunyari malaki yung kailangan nila. Kunyari 100 billion, for example, the company would rather tap the services of an investment bank or investment house to do that for them. Kasi may risk sharing. Nasi-share yung risk between the financial intermediary and the issuer. Okay? So may benefit yun para sa company na ipapadaan niya sa intermediary. Otherwise, kung walang benefit yun, hindi na niya didiretso na siya. Magdi-direct finance na siya. Okay? Ang tawag dito, sabi nga natin, intermediation. Okay? It's a primary means. Mas marami, guys, ang pumapasok sa intermediation kaysa sa direct finance. Okay? These are more important source of finance than securities market. Okay, bakit siya importante? Kasi nalo-lower yung transaction cost. There's also risk sharing and asymmetric information. Yung asymmetric information, guys, importante ito. Kasi because of research, because of the time that companies pour into the study of the market, so meron silang information, analysis na alam, na hindi alam ng ibang companies. Okay? So when this happens, guys, meron silang kumbaga, they enjoy some very important information which let's say the company does not know. Okay, so ang tawag dyan, guys, asymmetric information. Okay, asymmetric information happens when one party has information that the other party does not have. And this happens because of research. Because the company, let's say the investment banks, spend millions and millions to research. So may team yan sila, may research team, which the other company might not have. Kasi baka hindi naman nila kailangan na may ganun sila. That can be very expensive. Okay, so nasi-share din yung cost. No? Instead of them coming up with a team itself, yung manghihiram na company, research team para pag-aralan yung bond market, di ba? Eh di ano na lang, i-hire na lang yung services ng investment bank or investment houses. And besides, if many are doing that, kasi nga specialized field yan, so alam na mga investment banks, yung market, kabisado nila, so maraming nag-hire ng services nila. So when that happens, there's what we call economies of scale. Ibig sabihin, yung service cost na pinapasok ng investment bank, liliit, no? Mas liliit kasi economies of scale means that the investment house or investment bank is able to distribute its fixed cost across several customers. Okay, kung isa lang yung customer nila, ganito kunyari ang fixed cost guys 100. Example lang to. Ang cost to get information for them to research, etc. Sabihin natin very crude example. Sabihin natin the cost is 100, no? 100. Kung iisa lang yung customer nila, well, i-divide niya dun sa isang customer na yan. Diba? So that's a fixed cost per customer. But what if they have 1,000 customers patronizing them? So 1,000. So yung 100 pesos na cost of synthesizing that information, pwede na i-divide dun sa 1,000 customers. So technically, nagiging 0.10, which they pass on to their customers. So nakikita nyo guys yung effect ng economies of scale. No? Okay? So sa Philippines guys, maganda yung mga investment banks. So some who go into finance would want to go into investment banks. No? Kasi highly specialized din yung field na yan. So pwede rin maging field yan pag finance yung pasukin nyo later on. Okay, so, okay, ito yung sinasabi ko guys, low transaction cost. It can provide its customers with liquidity services. Mas madali si customer na makakuha ng financing ng liquidity. Kasi minsan guys, si investment bank na mismo ang bibili ng bonds ng company. Okay, banks, for example, banks provide depositors with checking accounts that enable them to pay their bills easily. So in this case, guys, banks are indirect financing siya. Okay, kasi si banks nagbibigay ng checking accounts kay depositors. Pero mas maganda dito, yung banks depositors can earn interest on checking and savings account and yet still convert them into goods and services whenever necessary. Okay, ito yung sinasabi natin na nakakapag-provide ng liquidity. Yung intermediary, yung banks. Kasi kunyari, may uutang ako sa supplier. Pero wala akong cash eh. Pero pumapayag yung supplier na magbigay muna ako ng anong security ang pwede kong ibigay. PDC, no? Post-deposit check, post-dated check, I mean. So kunyari, payable on September 31, 2021. Okay, so may terms ako na ilang days, 45 days, 60 days. Okay, so with that, I can now buy my raw materials. Okay, which I can convert into goods and then convert them into cash. So this provides liquidity, yung services na pinoprovide ng banks through yung mga checks. No? Okay, so this security is provided by intermediaries like banks. Ano pa? This is another example, yung asset transformation. Yung asset transformation, guys, it has something to do with risk. Ito yung example ko kanina, nasi-share yung risk. No? Risk is shared between the company and then the intermediary. Okay? Pag may ganong advantage, then companies will now go into into tapping the services of the intermediaries because of this sharing of risk. Unlike kung mag-direct finance sila, they will hold on to that risk on their own. Kapag papasok sila they'll tap the services of financial intermediaries, of course may cost yun. Pero risk is shared. No? Risk is shared. Kunyari, kailangan nila ng 100 billion. So they'll tap an investment bank, investment house. Si investment bank ang gagawa, no? siya mag-a-underwrite yung pag-issue ng bonds. So pwedeng si investment bank or si investment house, bibili na yung bonds mismo ni yung 100 billion worth na yan. Tapos siya na bahala magbenta. Okay? Right? So nabenta na ni investment ni company, firm A, nabenta na niya yung kailangan niya na nakapag-issue na siya ng bonds. So the risk now, part of the risk will now be borne by the investment house. Okay? All right. Okay, diversify asset holdings. Okay, skip that. Okay, ano pang? Ito yung sinasabi ko guys, no, yung asymmetric information. Kasi si investment houses, si investment banks, nila yan, isang core activity nila yung research. Okay? Research, pag-aralin yung mga FS ng mga companies, do market research, that's one of their core activity. So they specialize in that. Hindi naman specialization ng ibang companies yun. So companies can tap this specialty of the investment banks, investment houses, para magkaroon sila ng information. Kasi nga may asymmetric information. Okay? And pag sinabi natin asymmetric information, guys, nakaka-impact yan sa decision making. Yung pala may mga information about the market or about the company, hindi alam ng company. Okay, about the bond holder kunyari. Okay, so meron tayong tinatawag na adverse selection, which means it's a situation where sellers have information that buyers do not have, or vice versa, adverse selection din yan. And that can add risk, guys, to an investor, for example. Okay, ito yung sinabi ko kanina. Asymmetric information or information failure happens when one party to a transaction has greater material knowledge than the other party. Okay. All right. It's almost time. Tama-tama. Matatapos tayo nito, no? Okay. Example lang, guys. So sa atin, example lang, financial intermediaries, commercial banks, BPI, Metrobank, BDO. Okay. So they provide what we call, sila yung tinatawag na traditional department stores of finance. Okay, kasi they serve a variety of savers and borrowers. Okay. So investment banks naman, as I said, they help companies raise capital. And they're called underwriters. Okay? Underwriters sila. Kasi sila yung nag-underwrite ng security, whether it's a bond or IPO, for the firm. Okay? And then, sabi natin, an advantage of using investment banks is tutulungan ni investment bank si borrower mag-design ng security which are attractive to investors. Expertise nila yan, guys. And then they can also buy these securities from the corporation and resell them to savers at a profit. So win-win situation. Okay, so ito yung mga core activities ng investment banking. You have M&A, guys? Quickly, it's almost time. Tapusin natin to. Quickly, guys, M&A? What's M&A? Paki-chat na lang. M&A. Yan. Thank you, Elijah. It's mergers and acquisitions. Okay? Yan? Common yan sa mga businesses, sa mga industry. No? For example, si Solid Bank dati, binili ni Metrobank. So it's a merger. It's an acquisition. Pag sinabi natin merger, guys, pag sinabi acquisition, sorry guys, may I have your permission 1 to 2 minutes? Pwede ba? Para tapusin natin itong dalawang slides. May I have your permission? Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm assuming na yes yan. Sorry. So company B. Okay. Ang acquisition, si A, ina-acquire si B, nagiging A na lang. Nawawala na si B. Ang mergers of equals pwedeng C and D, and then pwedeng E. You have another company E. C and D, then you have E ang nangyayari. Okay, so that's the difference between mergers and acquisitions. And highly specialized yan, guys. Mahirap na activity yan. Kung nung binili ni Jollibee si Red Ribbon, I'm sure nag-hire ng investment bank yan. Hindi nila kaya, hindi nila expertise ni Jollibee. Nasa food, sila eh. Nasa services sila eh. Food services sila. Wala naman, I doubt they have So they tap the services of an investment bank in order to come up with a proposal for Red Ribbon. Okay? So that pinag-usapan yan. No? So yun ginagawa ng investment banking. Bespoke financing, guys, strictly speaking, kasi kunyari, yung isang, pupunta yung isang company para maka-loan. Usually may mga parang package na loan, hindi sa kanila pwede yun. So investment banks can, siyempre pag-uusapan nila yan, parang ita-tailor fit. Parang bibili ka sa department store, tapos may mga maong, iba't ibang size, may size 40, may size 30, may size 18. Eh hindi pa pwede yun dun sa sa company. So tutulungan ng investment bank si na manghiram, they will package a security na makakairam si company na fit para sa kanya. Yun ang bespoke. Ito yung sinasabi ko sa inyo, guys, na investment research. Tapos pati sa capital markets financing. Alright? So sa Philippines, top investment banks, BPI Capital Corporation. So separate to from BPI. So BPI Bank, si BPI Capital Corporation, investment bank to. Ganun din si PNB, meron siyang investment bank. Si First Metro, owned by Metro Bank. Okay? Etc. Si BDO, meron din siya. No? Okay, so lastly guys, meron din Financial Services Corporation, parang conglomerate to. Example, Citigroup. Di ba may Citibank? Meron din Smith and Barney. Okay, pagmamay-ari yan ng isang company called Citigroup. Okay, sa Philippines, wala akong alam na financial services kasi may BPI tayo, may BPI Capital. I am not aware of any conglomerate na, unless strictly speaking, sabihin natin si Ayala Corporation, pero iba yun eh. No? Financial services talaga. Okay, financial services talaga. Hindi yung mother company, hindi yung holding company. Okay, so thank you so much, guys. Let's end the stop recording.